this starting to work?
We're live.
But we are live anyway.
Oh, we're live. Hello, people.
Matthew, our computer is getting set up right now, so I am going to just start you guys off. Welcome to LitRPG Down Under. As you can see, we have these amazing and talented Australian authors with us today. And while Matthew is getting set up for, which is our moderator, not Matthew on the panel, I should say, I'm going to go ahead and have you guys introduce yourselves. So I will start with Matthew on the panel.
Hey everybody, I am Matthew J. Barbler, and I write Upside Down LitRPG. If you'll see up in this little bit up here, that's all the books that I've done so far. I've got Crematoria Online, which is like a Sherlock Holmes meets dark fantasy kind of thing in an MMORPG. And I'm also doing a real world series called Edge Force, where reality is a simulation and people get kidnapped and converted into the system and forced to fight threats that normal means can't fight. From Brisbane. Yeah, that's pretty much me.
Okay, into the silence. I'll go next. My name's Alex Kozlarski. I write LitRPG. Currently, I've written a series called Alpha Physics and an offshoot in Broken Interface, but I'm expanding out slowly, so I'll be putting a sci-fi one out soon enough. I'm based in Melbourne, used to be a banker. Yeah, that's about all. I usually work out in the kitchen, but it's a Sunday and the kids are running around, so I can't do that. So I'm in our little study area that my wife usually gets for work. Who's next?
Oh God, what's mine doing? Can you hear me? Because
we can.
Okay, well, right now you can't see me because my background is being a pain in the butt.
No.
Anyway,
we can see you perfectly.
Yes! Oh, fantastic! Okay, so my name's Katie Hanna. I am Australian, but 15 years ago, my husband imported me from Australia, and I live in Kansas, USA. Don't ask. He was worth it. So I write System Apocalypse Australia's spin-offs, Town Under, Flat Out, and Bloody Oath. Yeah, I write other books as well, but those are my Australian books, and that's what this is about. So I'll shut up now.
Okay. I'm Travis Deverell, aka Shirtloon. I write He Who Fights with Monsters, which is a series about an Australian who gets yanked into another world, minus pants. And yeah, I'm from Tasmania, and some of us stayed in Australia.
So I'm CJ Timms. I write The Aussie Manor Apocalypse, and it's basically a story about a man riding in to save the day on a giant wombat. G'day to everyone, and my next project is about Santa Claus fighting monsters, so I don't take things very seriously, and it's great to be here on this panel with these heavy hitters.
My mic is working. I'm just not interrupting anyone. Sorry.
I think we got everybody, didn't we?
Yeah, I think that's it.
All right. So, Geneva, what do I do? Sorry.
I don't think I've ever said good day, mate. My brother does all the time, but I never use it.
I'm going to jump back in for a moment. I'm sorry about the dog barking in the background. So, Matthew, I will put up questions on the screen as they come in and comments, and feel free to ask your own as well.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
It's okay, Mom.
So, yeah, can y'all see the screen as well? The pop-ups? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So, what got y'all into wanting to write? Start off with that.
Cool. Who wants to go first?
We'll start with Matthew.
Okay. Okay. So, like, you know how some people are just like, they're born and they're just like, I'm going to be a doctor, or I'm going to be a builder. Well, I started writing stories with my action figures. Like, I had Alien versus Predator versus Optimus Prime versus Batman when I was like 5, right? And yeah, I wrote my first story on an old typewriter that my mum got from work when I was 10, which I still have. And I've just been doing it ever since. About That's pretty much it. And like I started writing, I think it was when I was about 14 or 15. I was doing this really, really crappy, like it was absolute shit. But it was a thing called R-Quest, and it was about people getting sucked into a randomized video game. So even back when I was in high school, well, barely in high school, I was still in that video game mindset. And like I spent my whole, schooling life wanting to write and develop video games. So when I discovered LitRPG, I was like, what the fuck is this? Where was this when I was growing up? And yeah, the first one I read was James Hunter's Viridian Gate Online. And from that moment, I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. And I've done it ever since. And that's all from me. Travis, you want to go next?
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
Travis.
So when I was a kid, my family would go out on these great big long bush trips. I'm talking, 3, 4, 5 weeks out in the middle of nowhere. Like, where's the toilet? And you get handed a shovel with a toilet roll, like slung on the handle kind of thing. And I didn't have a lot to do on these trips. So quite often I'd find myself just wandering around, just telling myself obnoxiously bad stories because, I was 8. And then, I got older and never actually developed any other life skills whatsoever. So yeah, eventually I decided I want to get more serious about writing. I went to university, did creative writing to sort of shore up the old wobbly skill set. So at least I had one marketable skill, and then just jumped straight into writing. And LitRPG just really seemed like an exciting space to be jumping into. Like, it's just, there's so much fascinating potential there, and I didn't really see myself going any other way.
Thank you, CJ. By the way, amazing background change on CJ there.
You're muted, honey.
Oh, you're muted.
Lost your mute.
I apologize. I'm not sure if the background change came through for everyone. I'll have a play around with that. So I got into writing because essentially there's some really cool research in the health professions about writing as a way of avoiding burnout. And Alex, you mentioned mental health, and I do it as a way for me to chill out, essentially. So I don't write anything too serious. I just do it as a way to enjoy life. And the thing that got me into LitRPG specifically is I'm one of those gamers who just doesn't have time to game anymore. And this is my way of still sort of staying in touch with my roots. I was actually rereading Matt's Edge Force book last night, and there was a sassy line about Tim Tams that I'd completely forgotten in the first chapter. I thought, yeah, great stuff. Anyway.
You got to spring for the double coat, man. You don't go the single coat.
Double coat!
No. Matthew, can't hear you, love.
I'm sorry. I noticed a whole bunch of nods off of that last one with gamers that don't have time to game. I think we all hit that one. All right, Mr. Alex.
So, same with most people, sort of. So I wrote a bit as a kid. Leaving at the end of high school, I wrote my first book, and then over uni, I wrote a couple more. Then I got a job and sort of put it on the back burner, life and all that sort of stuff. Then COVID comes in, and I'm out of the job for, I think it was nine months. And so for mental health, I started writing, and it's great. And so, yeah, that's how I get into it. It's nice. And now it's just a lifestyle, not going into the train, into the city, being able to go to home and pick up the kids. It's awesome.
Yeah. I started writing when I was like 8. Oh, were you done, Alex?
Yes, I was. Yes.
Good. I started writing when I was like 8-ish. Always did the telling stories to yourself thing. My brothers and sisters are like 10, 12, and 13 years older than me. So I didn't really have like anybody to play with. So my mom would be like, go outside, Katie. Fuck off, Katie. And so I'd just go outside and fuck off and tell myself stories, create things, create worlds. And so I wrote my first story when I was like 8, and my teacher was really concerned because I killed one of the twins with reoccurring history, made a fall down like attic stairs like somebody had like 100 years before because the ghosts did it, right? So my teacher was really concerned. My mom was like, what the fuck are you complaining about? She wrote a book. Like, it was 11 pages of handwritten, but I was 8. So yeah, I always wanted to write. I always wanted to be a lawyer or an author. And then when it came to being a lawyer, I decided, holy fuck, I can't do this. I have a conscience. So
are you sure you just didn't go with the one where they let you swear more?
No, I actually studied law for 3 years, and I got like this close to my law degree and had like a mental breakdown. So that was fun. But yeah, so I love writing, and I met my husband playing EverQuest 2, and then I moved to America. Yeah, right. Like, I actually met my husband in a computer game, which is just weird, but very fitting for being a LitRPG author, right? And now I live in America, and I already had a science fiction trilogy published, and my husband kept going, we've got to read LitRPG. We've got to read LitRPG. And I was like, oh, dude, what the fuck ever. And so I was like, fine, I'll read this book. And I read Awaken Online, and I went, holy
Great
fuck,
book.
this is what I love. You mean I can put the games in a book? And that was it. I read like 12 books in like 9 days and sat down and went, holy shit, I've got all these ideas. And I wrote Somnia Online, and then I wrote more books, and then I wrote these 3 books, and I'm still writing. And it's like, if I don't write, I am like the snarkiest bitch ever. Like, I need to write. I can't not write. It's bad for me and everybody around me. I'm done.
Great. And we have a couple of good questions coming in. The first one is from Jay Boyce. What's your favorite deadly Australian animal to include in your ebooks? And we'll start with Matthew.
Okay, so have you guys ever heard of the Thylacoleo carnifex? Otherwise known as the marsupial lion. It's literally where the legend of the Yowie and the drop bear came from. I wrote a book about it. Before I started writing LitRPG, I wrote horror. And pretty much all of my LitRPG has like some kind of horror bent. Yeah, so like honestly, I went into the Brisbane Museum, I saw the Thylacoleo carnifex's skull sitting there, and it has these crazy teeth, right? It has like this scissor at the front, and then it's got these huge cutting wedges at the back. And the moment I realized that was for like, okay, it's for tearing flesh and for crunching bones, and it has crazy claws that it uses to sit up in trees and literally jumps down on its prey, it immediately became my favorite animal. And it's literally the drop bear, but was hunted to extinction. So yeah, pretty much anything that I write is going to have some form of animal like a Thylacoleo carnifex in it. I haven't done it in LitRPG yet, but I do have a plan for a future story where I'm going to be doing it. Do you guys know the scientific name of the drop bear? It's called the Thylactos plummetus. And there is going to be a creature in one of my future books, which is going to be essentially a giant drop bear.
Nice.
That's it for me.
Travis?
I don't have a specific one. I find my readers constantly asking me about, the deadly Australian animals, and I'm like, it's not that bad. Just check where you go, check your gumboots, and you probably won't die. And then I had to explain what gumboots were. Yeah. No, look, yes, there are deadly snakes and spiders that will crawl into your shoes, but not a lot.
Yeah, not really in built-up areas, right?
You really have to go bush to really get in any kind of danger. Or
so I'll make a comment about Canada. Like, I lived in Canada for about almost 6 months, and walking through the forest there when there are like bear alarms going off scared me way more than walking through the bush in Australia. The first time I saw a moose, because nobody knows how big moose are, scared the absolute bejesus out of me.
Exactly. What's a bloody plover swooping around sort of intimidatingly compared to a friggin' moose?
There's one thing here that can rip your arm off, and that's crocodile, right?
Yeah.
In America, you got wolves, you got bears, you got all these things which like actively hunt you. Spiders and snakes, they just chill, man. If you step on them, then yeah, it's bad news, but they don't go hunt you.
I seen a guy on TikTok this from England that was going about the same lines. Y'all talk about being afraid of Australia and everything, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I when I was a kid, yes, like I was just sitting around and a snake came at me and my dad shot it in the head, but
Or you get the shovel out.
Use the gun. Shovel.
No,
every
the
day.
shovel.
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah, we've all had the shovel moment.
the golfing
Yeah.
wedge with the cane toads.
Yeah.
Because
Ooh.
that's just a thing. My dad used to do that over the back field. He'd like get his wedge out and just like fucking call it and shoot the cane toads. Those things are fucking horrible. Magpies, come on, people, magpies. Magpies are shit, mate.
I befriend my magpies. I feed them, so like they don't
That's
attack
very
us or the
clever
family.
because they will defend you. When the apocalypse hits, you will have an army of magpies defending you. That is clever shit, mate. That's fucking awesome.
I think jellyfish are the sort of underdog when it comes to the deadly Australian animal. Because you'll just be there having a nice surf or having a swim, and then bam, jellyfish.
But they can't walk on
everywhere.
land.
Yeah,
not yet.
It's a good one.
I mean, they're probably looking.
Yeah, but no, jellyfish. Yeah, a jellyfish sting can feel pretty savage.
Yeah.
Or if it's an irukandji, it can pretty much flat out kill you.
I'm pretty sure the peeing on people thing is completely a myth.
I have not tried it personally, so I can't really say that. But I think it sounds like a myth.
Yeah, no, I tried aloe vera cream, which didn't come out of a person, which I am a big fan of.
Actually, meat tenderizer is what you should actually put on it. It helps to draw the poison out.
A meat tenderizer.
Yeah,
that is taking the conversation somewhere way different.
Meat
when I tenderize
tenderizer.
meat, I get a big hammer where you smack.
Yeah, like a metal hammer is not.
I don't know if that would help.
I think I'm moving back to
Yeah,
pee.
just beat the shit out of it. No, it's an actual it's spice that you put on the meat to help break down some of the fat that you buy in the United States. Where, Alex, your favorite Australian?
I'll go the snakes. The snakes are by far the scariest. Like you can ignore them. Like, and if you're tramping around with some thick boots on, you don't really give a stuff about them. But that's at least a threat. So if my kids are around, I'll watch out for snakes. That's about all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't a floating jellyfish a flump in D&D? Aren't they pretty much floating jellyfish?
I think so.
Yeah, the gelatinous cube.
Yeah.
KT, your animal?
Oh, well, I mean, I said magpies. Magpies are my favorite one because those things are I just remember having to like run laps around the oval when I was a kid in primary school. And when it was magpie season, holy fuck, those things like dive bomb your head so badly.
I used to go out and with a stick. And if one was coming up behind me, turn around and try to clump it. It was fun.
Oh yeah, like we would have hats on, and we'd be running like this. Like those things are fucking nightmares. I hate them. And yeah, so that would be. I mean, it's not deadly, but I mean, it technically could kill you because those beaks are sharp, and they don't really care where they peck you.
They usually go for the ears, so they can draw blood.
I'm not a fan of fucking. Right.
Just
thinking
about the whole birds from Alfred Hitchcock with magpies.
Yes, that is a fucking magpie, man. Like, except worse. And Matthew's going to have an army of them, and he's going to defend us all.
Someone needs to do an Australian retelling of the birds with magpies. Like, I would buy the shit out of that horror book.
That would be pretty terrifying because they're smart.
KT, we'll start with you on this one. Do you ever choose to use less or more Australian slang so that people can understand, or do you enjoy confusing / educating them?
Okay, so in living here for 15 years, I still say shit that people go, what? my husband even goes, what do you mean by that? So I mean, actually in the books I do try to, I must admit I tone down on it a little, because I'm like, I want them to be able to understand the book and not to sit here going, what the fuck? Although that is fun, and sometimes that's a reason why I'll insert some slang, so they are going, what the fuck sometimes. Although I had to admit, I told Tao, like, mate, look, there's going to be at least one cunt in every fucking book, because you cannot have a book set in Australia with Australians without the word cunt in it. And he was like, okay, whatever. And then Andy was really happy that she got to narrate it. And then, like, you know, what was it like? Oh, yes. What was it? Such a cunt waffle, I think. Did I use that? What I used?
Yeah.
I can't remember. But somebody actually, like, snipped it for me, like, highlight. You know how you can do that highlighting in Kindle? And it, like, pulls out the quote. Somebody literally took my, like, in the second book, holy fucking cunt nugget. That's what she says. And I've literally got, like, the quote, like, somebody sent it to me. It was like, oh my God, this is the best part of the book. Holy fucking cunt nugget. And I was like, yep, that was the use of the word in that book. I used it twice in the third book. So I was like, you know, it's got to be in there. It's not right if it's not. So yes, I use slang, and I like shock factor. So I'd say I probably use it sometimes for my own entertainment value, because I know how people are going to react, because it's fun.
Fair enough. Alex?
Yeah. I'll use slang where it's appropriate. I did have an editor made me take out the redskin lollies. I'm sure all the Australians on here know what redskins are. And
They
so
taste so good, though.
I know. And so I just
so
put in, not even thinking, my editor's going, yeah, you really shouldn't use that term. So I backed back on
they changed the lollies, didn't they?
They have, just recently.
But we're too old to remember that.
It was a football team in the U.S. forever.
Yeah. And political correct got rid of it.
CJ?
I think I've mucked about with it going one way or the other. The difficulty is, like, I want my stories to be accessible for everyone, not just Australians.
You use slang.
I think you can lean too heavily.
Right.
Yeah. So, like, you can lean a bit too heavily into it and make it a bit inaccessible. But some always creeps through, like, no matter what you try. I try to tone it back a little from my natural Ocker slang, but it just happens.
Yeah. Fair enough. Travis?
Yeah, well, my protagonist is very Australian, but he tends to ramp it up whenever he specifically wants to be confusing. So, you know, he'll get significantly more Australian the more he wants to annoy people who have no idea what he's talking about. And then he'll just pare it back when he doesn't. So that's generally how I tend to use it.
And Matthew?
So I'll just expand on what Travis has said there. So what that is for you non-Australians is that's a little thing called shit stirring. And that's something that Canadians and Americans, you guys don't, you don't generally do it in the same like way that Australians do. When I lived in Canada, when I was being a shit stirrer, they got so offended because I thought I was being serious. And like, you know how much it takes like a Canadian to actually like get visibly offended? Like I had to really turn it back. But anyway, so in my first two books, I deliberately made it so that it was an American protagonist because I really wanted to, as many of others have said, make it accessible for everyone. So there's like zero Australian slang in the first Crematoria Online. But when Crematoria Online 2 came out, I had to put a Kiwi in it, and he channeled everything that I wanted to put in the first book. But with Edge Force, the main character is Australian, and one of the things that I found that's very good is if you have a large diverse cast, if you have an Australian who says something, you can play with that because the other characters who aren't Australian, they don't know what it means. So you can literally kind of, it's exposition, but you literally get to have them explain it to characters and have them understand it, which also spreads it, which, as I say in Australia, is a piece of piss.
All right. Well, I want to just really quickly, there was a comment whenever we were given the list of panels, I said, LitRPG Down Under. Okay, yeah. That's not a knife. So Laval Jackson came in with the comment, that's not a knife. This is a knife. I just had to point that out. Anytime that Americans hear Australia, that's one of the first things that comes. Of course, now it's probably, the actor.
Oh, crikey.
Paul Hogan's kind of like
Crikey,
American
Steve Irwin.
Oh, yeah, Steve Irwin. Yes, Steve Irwin. This
Yeah.
is Steve Irwin, and then that scene from Crocodile Dundee.
He said there's only one Sheila on the panel. My mother's name is Sheila, but she's from Liverpool, and my dad's from Germany. So my dad, because he thought this was funny because he's German, he would go, "This is my Sheila."
Matthew, we'll go with you and on this one because you've already kind of jumped straight into it. Do you ever include Australian mythical creatures in your books? This is a Facebook user.
I want to, but I haven't as yet. So obviously the Carnifex horror novel I did because that's, I mean, I guess it's not technically a mythical creature, but yeah, I've got one that I want to be like literally like 11 out of 10 Australiana. But it's just, yeah, it's not something that I've written yet. So far, no. All of the monsters and stuff like that from Edge Force, they all are themed. So one's Romanian monsters from Romanian mythology. The other one is, it's really hard to explain, but it's monsters crafted by a cult leader who has a hard-on for Latin. So, yeah, not yet, but I want to.
And Travis?
I've had a couple in there, but I think I'm going to be moving away from that. A few months ago, I did a trip to Western Australia, and I had a chance to see a lot of fantastic Aboriginal rock art. But there was a scary number of penis monsters, like a terrifying. This is a thing with an incredibly long prehensile penis that would like sneak that into camp, take a baby, and drag the baby off. And everywhere we went, it's like, okay, so this is a different penis monster. I was like, what is going on? And I'm not sure this is appropriate content for my particular book because I don't use the word cunt a lot. I get lots of readers who contact me and say, I listen to your audiobooks with my kids, and I'm like, no, I don't think I can put in penis monsters. And I was just startled at how many there were. It was
that's a new one on me.
It was new to me too, and but I don't think it's going to be new to my readers. I think they will have to find their prehensile penis content elsewhere.
CJ,
it is out there to be found.
My general tactic is to take an Australian animal and make it bigger, and some of them you don't need to make a dire crocodile. It's just a crocodile, as terrifying as it is.
Yeah.
I find a struggle with the Australian mythos because I never know how do I culturally covet something that's fairly recent. And so my answer is generally just to take something like a wombat and give it 2 heads or something. So it's hard, but I certainly do throw in regular Australian animals because they're great material. It's interesting.
And Alex?
So Australia's only been around for a couple hundred years. So, the European part, and I don't think there's any real myths that are particularly useful in that space. So then you're going back to the Aboriginal culture. I just don't know enough. I won't really touch it. If I was based in a story that sort of, borrows cultural elements and builds a system that's come in and borrows all the cultural elements, I'd probably do the research. But I don't think I'm ever going to do that style system. So I doubt I'm ever going to go there.
Okay. KT?
Me either. I don't know enough about it, and I really don't know where to get the most reliable information on it either. And mine's set like a few years ago, with system hitting it, and so there weren't mythological creatures around. So I mean, my system just mushes stuff together. So I mean, we have like an Emu Gator and like shit because I'm so original with names. And I mush lots of different creatures together, and or just make them bigger size. I turned the koalas into like ravaging beasts, and I made the wombats awesome because they do that thing with their butt where they like squish stuff when they get attacked.
And they have
So
square
they have
poop.
those like butt plates. Yeah, dude, hello. And so like the wombat became like, I didn't expect people to like her as much as she is. So she's in books 2 and 3 a lot more than I was originally planning because people loved the mum wombat. So, but yeah, I just take the animals we've got because I also don't think it like it's not like a fantastical system that takes over the world. It's just it's a system that just takes what's there and mutates everything. So there's no reason to bring mythos into it. Ta-da!
CJ, what inspired you to write a Santa North Pole lit RPG? This is from Kyle.
It's funny. I don't know where it came from because I was actually on holidays and I was up in the Whit Sundays, which is beautiful. Recommend it to anyone. And we're on this boat. You know how when you stop and you're not riding and you're just forced to be still for a while? I was sitting on the boat enjoying the scenery and just the thought popped into my head, wonder what Santa would be like fighting monsters. And I have no idea where it came from. But when I started looking into it, there's all this really cool Christmas mythos and solstice mythos and history around different monsters and different interpretations of Santa through different cultures. So it's just a sort of a rich area to dig into. And I just wanted to be fun. So Christmas is coming up. I thought, hey, let's give it a go.
It sounds awesome. I'm going to read it. That sounds great.
Are you going to have an entire book set in Australia where, like, it's Christmas and it's hot as balls?
It's Christmas and we're all
Fuck yeah, and they get to go swimming.
Wait, just so that y'all are aware, that's Texas too, because of it's now October 22nd and it's 85 degrees outside. So,
is that a Fahrenheit
That's
thing?
true.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
so
it's like about
Fahrenheit,
30,
Fahrenheit.
27, 30, something in there.
Yeah, 30.
I have to say that the feel of an Australian Christmas where everyone is just pissed by lunchtime and they're either hanging out by the pool or at the beach and everyone's asleep by 2 o'clock because they've had too much pavlova. It's just something that
I don't have pavlova here.
I'm heartbroken for you.
Has anyone seen an Aldi ad with all the surfboarding Santas? Very popular about 2 years ago.
I don't watch free-to-air TV, unfortunately. But it's something that so few people actually like capture in fiction, and it's something so unique that you don't get it unless you've experienced it. Like I honestly think that if I was to try and put an Aussie Christmas in a book, it would probably make people's head spins. Yeah,
they don't get it. I talk about it over here, and they're like, even my daughter's like, wait, and we've been there. She's been there 3 times, and we go over the Australian winter, and like, what did you think? Did you think that summer was like shoehorned in there for 2 weeks or something? Like, no, our summer is like 9 months fucking long in Brisbane, and our trees don't even fucking change color. Like,
no.
See, and
people look at me and go like, what?
That's something that a lot of people in the Northern Hemisphere really don't understand, that it's completely opposite for y'all than it is for us up here. So Jay Boyd comes in again with another, what's your favorite truly Australian thing that you include in your books? Matthew?
I think it's the attitude. It's a really uniquely Australian thing that you can be literally facing down like, the biggest challenge that you've ever had and you'll still be cracking jokes. There's something like unique about the fact that Aussies, when they like have to step up, they do it, but then they are like self-deprecating about themselves about it. Like they're just like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this amazing thing, but also, it wasn't actually that bad. Like, it could have been worse. Got through it.
It reminds me of
You could have
Monty
had one of
Python.
Travis Penis
And the
monsters
knife.
like
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just like you don't get that anywhere else. Like, it's just, I don't know whether it's just because we're all, like literally crackling under the heat of the sun down here, and everything's always a challenge. But it's just, I like it. It's great.
But at least y'all get to go and look for some amazing opals occasionally, right?
I've never done that.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
I like opals. Can I go to a store and buy them?
Yeah. They're not. Yeah, they're not just lying around. There aren't kangaroos just sort of hopping down the street depositing.
No. There's actually a television show.
They're in our bathtub.
Opal hunters.
Yeah, opal hunters. They go down into the cave system and they're like little spiders. But yeah.
Seriously?
That's only in the central
yeah.
Australia, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's only a
It
couple
is.
of towns that
Yeah.
do it.
That's in Australia. All right, so Travis, what is your favorite truly Australian thing to include in your books?
I think it's sort of an egalitarian sensibility. Like, there's sort of that whole, Ned Kelly, middle finger to, authority kind of thing.
Don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, that sort of intrinsic rejection of a class system that I think is baked into the Australian identity. Yeah. I mean, it's not universal, especially since we're a massively multicultural country. So there's a lot of cultural influences, but sort of the that sort of post-colonial sensibility of telling the British Empire to stick it right up their ass is something that I think I try to it informs my my protagonist quite a lot.
Okay, CJ.
I think it's the concept of taking the piss, and there's this great line in I think it's He Who Fights with Monsters 4, where they've cornered Jason and they know he's got shadow powers. They've lit the whole area up and they've recruited all these people with light-based powers. And he just says, "Oh gosh, you got me. Good thing I didn't train for this exact scenario." And it's just magnificent.
All right, Alex.
I don't know. I just write. I don't actively target anything. So, and my brain doesn't really work like that. Like working out myths and doing things actively. I just start writing and I keep writing, and then I eventually get a book out the other end of it.
Yeah,
Which,
I think
because I'm Australian, I'm sure a lot of the Australian nature slips through. It's just not a conscious.
And that's it, because it's not like we're sitting here going, "Oh,
how Australian can I be?
Australian? How do I get across someone saying stand of pamphlets?" Like, just.
And back to the Christmas thing. If I do Christmas in Australia, it's just going to be there. It's just going to be hot. It's going to be getting together with mates. There's going to be a struggle to get a few beers. They'll probably get some ham from somewhere. That sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. They'll make the effort, but it won't be anything specific. I'll just tell the scene and do what the people would have done in that situation. So it'll be a very Australian outcome, but it won't be a conscious
because that's it. We're all Australians. We're not going to fetishize ourselves.
Unless that's the joke.
There are parts of us.
Like a Stephen King type detail into what the Christmas entails.
Yeah, it's like Stephen King isn't sitting there. It's like, how do I make this about a bunch of white people in Maine?
Yeah,
right. See it.
He just does it.
Yours, I assume.
Well, it's much along the same lines as Alex. Like, I'm Australian, and it's in how I write and how I perceive things, and even in everything I write, I always have an excuse. Like, I always have a base of my characters, because my mom's from England and my dad's from Germany, born in Australia. Like, they met in Australia and had me, so I'm just like a mixing pot myself. But I tend to give an excuse, like, she's got a British mother, or she's got a British father, or something, or an Australian dad, or something, or she went to school in Australia, or something, because I need to be able to have the excuse to use some of the words that I use and I refuse not to use in my books. And so, because I don't want to stop the flow of my character, which obviously, pulls from my own experiences, as we all do, because there's elements of us in all the books. And so that's just an organic thing that happens. And because we're Australian and that's kind of how we're raised in this don't give a fuck, self-deprecating, snarky kind of way, that just comes through into the books. And I had one line in book 3 that I thought was fucking hilarious, but other people did too, and that was so cool. So obviously it comes across well, but I don't think I do it deliberately. So
actually, I have a question, KT. As an Australian in Kansas, do you find yourself becoming more Australian?
Oh fuck yeah! I am
sort of like a defensive mechanism.
Yeah, I am not, like, Kansas has not changed me. I am, if possible, more Australian and more like, no, fuck that. Fuck this classes system. Fuck this shit here. Screw that. Like, and we raise, like, I raise my daughter the way I would raise her in Australia. And being here where you kind of have a church on every freaking street corner, and that's being what's it called when you're not being generous? Like, literally, like, there's like, it's probably every street corner. It's definitely
conservative.
Yes, thank you. That's it.
Well, it's Kansas. It's easy to be conservative.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been pleasantly surprised over recent years to see the state becoming, like, more open-minded, maybe. But it's just something that, like, this, I would never have seen myself living in Kansas. And my husband is amazing and worth it and as open-minded as me. So he's like the odd one out in his family. And you just have to stay yourself. It's kind of hard sometimes, but I do find myself going, what the fuck are you talking about, a lot. So I'd say my stubbornness has, like, won out. My Australian don't give a fuck has definitely won out. And I'm not going to let it not. So thank you. That was a really cool question. Thank you, Travis. Still don't move to Kansas, people? Just
Well, I mean, Kansas has so much to offer, as in nothing.
It's not the flattest state. It is the 7th flattest state. There you go.
What? Okay, that was way too defensive.
Dude, it's like the only thing that people comment. Kansas is really flat, but it's not the flattest state.
So you're driving around, it's like, see, we've got a hill.
There's like Kansas, 3 of them.
Except for the tornado warnings.
Dude, tornado in April, 4 doors up. 4 fucking houses up from mine. So let's just... Ooh, hate that shit. Oh. Whew. That was scary.
People either plan to get out of Ohio. That's a lot of your astronauts come from there. Yeah. What do you find inspires you when you're having a point where you're feeling stuck in a scene? What inspires you to move forward, Matthew?
My kids, really, because I'm doing this because, okay, so I've worked for the government, Queensland government, for probably I think it's my 18th year this year, and I'm just about ready to go it for myself for the first time, and, you know, take this where it goes. And I guess the mind shift in that, you know, before it was like I write for fun, so there's no schedule. I can just, you know, do whatever I want. But my son is just about to turn 3 in November, and by the time he gets to be of an age where he's at school, I want to be doing this as my primary source of work. So I want to be able to drop him at school. I want to be able to pick him up. I don't want to be one of those dads who leaves the house before the sun comes up and gets home late. I want to do it for my kids, essentially. So whenever I'm in that moment, in that scene where I'm just like, oh, what the fuck am I going to do here? I just try something. It doesn't matter how crazy it is. I could always go back and change it if it doesn't work. But like, honestly, 9 times out of 10 for me, crazy works, and it works really well. So it's really just about, I guess that's the difference between, you know, writing as a hobby versus writing for work, is that no matter what, you have to get through those tough bits, and you have to have strategies to get you through those tough bits as quickly as you can.
Yeah, and I mean, when you get doing it for fun, I guess you get stuck a lot less. Whenever it becomes something that you need to do, you find yourself in those scenes more often.
I find that when you do it for fun, you get stuck for longer. If you come up to a wall, you can walk away for a month and then come back to the story. But you can't do that when you're taking it seriously as work. You have to get through. And even if I'm stopped for a couple of days, I'll generally come back to it within the week, or I'll have another
couple of days. Oh, that's luxurious.
No, well, I'll
Your
work on
output
something
is
else in the
insane,
meantime,
though.
because I've always got at least 3 projects that I'm working on, whether it's outlining, whether it's first drafting, and stuff like that. So I've always got something to bounce between.
Travis?
Yeah, because I crank out 5 chapters a week and publish them online. So yeah, you don't really get to stop. But I find you can just about write through anything. Like, because if you just keep writing, it's okay if it turns out terrible. You're allowed to rewrite and you're allowed to revise.
Yeah.
I find that I just tend to force myself through, and if it's absolutely shocking, that's okay, because now I've got like a framework that I can just revise and rewrite and fix up. So yeah, I find just sort of barreling through. I mean, that can be stressful. There are days when I really, really would like to just, knock it off. But yeah, I actually find writing in a serial format to just keep cranking out the chapters is a really good way to sort of build those writing patterns. So even, after I sort of move on from this series and I wind it back a little bit to give myself more free time, there's still the skill set I developed for time management and barreling through writer's block. I'm not a big believer in writer's block because you can just write something that's terrible and then you can just rewrite it or fix it or whatever. That's sort of how I approach it.
Okay. CJ?
Yeah, look, if I get stuck, I generally do one of 2 things. The first is, I think, okay, is the scene boring? What can I do different? Can I throw some explosions? Is there more tension? Is there something else that needs to be going on? And the second is, I guess if you get stuck, you just push through. Like, I can't remember who was talking about it, but I was watching the videos from last year, and there's a number of the armed services who write LitRPG, and like getting stuck on a book it's difficult to get past sometimes, but there's harder things in life. So you just push through. You just push through ultimately. Yeah, and then maybe
that is the Australian attitude.
Push through.
Yeah, just keep fucking going.
Yeah, you're right about mixing it up though. Like I've gone through a chapter and it's like, oh my god, this is incredibly boring, and all I've done is I've just taken an extra character and shoved him in there, so suddenly there's a lot more character interaction, and that makes it just way more interesting.
Alex?
So I've got 3 universes that I'm working on. My writing process is new words and rewrite and then editing. I've always got stuff to do. If I get stuck in a particular point, I'll just drop it and sleep on it for a few days and then come back to it. Usually make a big change as necessary to add in whatever's troubling me. But that just, because I've got so many different things going on, it's pretty easy to move to something that I can work on easily.
Multiple projects is a really good thing.
It depends for me on why I'm having trouble. I don't believe in writer's block. There's always a reason why I'm having trouble writing. One of them can be maybe something's going on with my kid, and so my brain just isn't where it should be when I'm trying to write. Maybe like, I'll hit a point in the story because I used to plot, but my characters kept fucking that up. And so now I don't plot and my characters still keep fucking it up. So it really doesn't really matter. But I'll hit a point in the book and I'll be like, oh my God, why can't I get further? And then I'll look at it and I'll like sketch out like possibilities. And then I'll be like, that's why, because this needs to happen for this to, and then I'm great and I'm good. So it really depends on why I'm stuck, because there can be lots of reasons why I'm stuck. And one of them can be a personal thing that's just pissing me off. My characters that are pissing me off, or the fact that I haven't thought it far enough out that I need to sit down and sketch out some notes to halfway stick to, because I never actually stick to notes. It never happens. I sketch out like 6 chapters and by the second chapter I'm like 6 miles down in the other direction. But that's, it just depends. I'm with Travis on sometimes you just have to fucking write. You just have to sit down and be like, well, okay, I need 2K today. And if I don't get 2K in today, then that's 4K I have to do tomorrow. And that's just not fucking going to happen. So I have to get 2K in today. And then when I go back and look over the work, I usually do like I write and then I go the next day and I'll look at what I wrote yesterday. So I kind of know where I was. Like I said, I don't plot. So kind of need to know what I wrote yesterday and keep it going. And then I'll adjust stuff. And then I'm like, oh, I can fix this and I can fix this as I'm reading through it. And then I get on to the next day's work. So but if you skip a day when it's one of your important days to write, like, 'cause I try to do Monday to Friday, then that just means I've got more words to write tomorrow. And that just snowballs. And I can't do that. I can, but it's not going to help anything.
Kyle asked, I think this will be the last question we do, almost. Kyle asked, is it difficult to be so far away from the largest community of LitRPG fans, or is it easier to write when you don't have to worry about fans chasing you down from section? Let's start with Travis.
I feel sorry for anyone who's chasing me down out of objection. Like, seriously, like I'm not that exciting in person. I'm just not. But I am doing my first sort of live fan event in December, and I'm like going to be doing that in Los Angeles.
Nice.
So so there is the factor of flying to the other side of the planet in order to actually meet some LitRPG readers. I've met I've met exactly one reader locally. Because he wanted a signed book, and I happened to be driving through his town, so I just dropped it off at his house.
That's awesome. Service, man.
Yeah,
Alex.
I was just heading home for Christmas and was going right through his town. So yeah, but
I don't know.
That's awesome.
It would be nice to sort of meet some readers and stuff, which I'm now going to do. So all of a sudden, I've gone from eager to mildly terrified, but that's fine.
Well, and now you're going to LA next year, so. Alex?
Come to Dragon Con. Come to Dragon Con.
That's the one. I'd want to meet the authors as opposed to the fans. I don't know if any fans want to meet me, and if they did, I'd be so embarrassed. I absolutely hate talking about my book. I like go to family events and it's like, what do you write? And tongue tied and nothing comes out. So, authors want one thing. Fans, very iffy. If at some stage I have to deal with that, I will. But till then, I'm happy to do it over the keyboard.
Yeah. Well, it's why I decided to do not just like a regular fan event. I'm actually doing it at a board game store. We're going to have a big board game night.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. So, yeah, that should be pretty good. Because, just having a bunch of people show up just to meet me, it's like, I'm not worth it. I'm super not.
Well, I'm not far away, and I'm in Kansas, so nobody's going to come here, so it's okay. That's my answer, because nobody's coming here. Unless you're Dorothy in a house that falls on me.
James on Facebook just asked, are any of you guys doing any events in the community in the state of California? And, of course, Travis, you just said that you're going to LA.
Yeah, in December.
December, okay.
Oh, Nick, you can do that.
CJ,
Same deal. I'm boring. I'm an introvert. I love that people read my stuff, but there's no reason to meet me in person. I'll get tongue-tied. I'll hand you a copy of I made business cards with Santa on them just to avoid the awkward introduction. So I started making CJ Timms, Guy Wombat Press, get it in India. So yeah, no need to meet me in person.
That's a good idea. Just
maybe
a card.
The other authors. I like
that. A little card that just say, "Thank you for reading my book. Please don't talk to me." So run away.
I don't speak English.
Don't
I'll do German instead.
It'll embarrass me. All right, Matthew.
Okay, so I feel like I'm like the odd one out here because I love doing cons. I love doing conventions and shooting the shit with people. But like, I just want to say that even though I am at the armpit arse end of the world, I still feel as though I am a part of this massive community. Like, that's the great thing about these Facebook groups. The Discord servers, the Twitter. There's a growing presence on Twitter for LitRPG authors. Yeah. I still feel like I'm a part of it. But like I want to pitch to all of you guys PAX Oz next year. I want to see how many Aussie LitRPG
When
authors.
Is it?
It's normally in October or end of September.
Yeah, because it just happened, right?
It did just
Okay,
happen.
not happening. I can't afford another $2,500 plane ticket for that.
I did a panel at PAX this year.
Oh, nice.
Which is fun. With a couple of the RR writers, other Australian RR. Well,
I'd love to have a couple of tables there with everyone. That'd be awesome.
I think the author of Randomly Ghost Hound was floating around PAX Oz this
Correct.
year.
He was Nora was there. We caught up. That was fun. First time I met with actual professional authors.
Nice.
All right, KT. Easier or more difficult?
Oh, well, like I said, I'm in Kansas. Nobody's going to come over here. So nobody's going to seek me out in Kansas. It's like, I'm pretty easy there. I do love the community.
And
it's awesome, right?
Past the sleeping dog.
Pretty much. I literally live on the outskirts of a town, so I can look across here. I've got a little lake out here, and then I look across there, and there's a barn for horses. So it's like I live in rural Kansas.
Terrifying, because I'm hearing I live on the outskirts of town. Come seek me out in Kansas. This
no, but
like the movie vibe, like some guy with a mask and a sickle.
No, I live in a neighborhood that's on the outskirts of town. So there's 250 houses in here. So, or 150. I don't know. I don't count very well. I write books.
KT,
and use spreadsheets for my stats.
You're here in the States. Travis, you're coming up in December. Are the other three of you have any plans to come to the States in the next year?
I would love to, but I'm poor.
DragonCon. You should all come for DragonCon.
DragonCon's like pretty much number one. Like I want to come to DragonCon, but
come to DragonCon.
We just bought a house, young family, all that. So
September. End of August, beginning of September.
It's always
for the Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day weekend, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they just changed the carpet in the hotel, so that's going to take a while to get used to in the convention center.
Yeah.
Really? Carpet's that tricky?
So people actually started creating costumes for the carpet so that they could match the carpet.
Yeah. Okay.
I've heard of people dressing as the wallpaper from The Shining, but that's different.
It's pretty awesome. Well, thank you all. There is a carpet cult at DragonCon. Yeah. Thank you all for joining us on this panel. I know that there's going to be a couple of takeovers happening with y'all throughout the rest of the weekend. And I don't know if any of y'all are on any other panels, but
I'm on the D&D one in 2 days from now, I think. The D&D
go. So we've got a whole bunch more panels for everybody to come and check out. make sure to go back into the LitRPG group and check the schedule there as well.
And there's Discord. I think there's like a chat after this.
Yes,
if we wanna,
and we
people
have
want
an
to talk
after
to us
party
in
that
Discord.
happens in Discord for let's see. I don't know. I can't put it in there, but okay. I think that's straight off of Facebook. But Geneva, I think that's it for us, right? Oh, there she goes. She got the Discord in there.
Well, hey.
This was awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, guys. It's been a blast.
Thank
you
you
all for sitting with us, and y'all have a wonderful evening.
You too, man. Catch you later.